Hey you guys, you're watching Jeff Seating and this is Ezekiel's Army. I've been talking a lot lately about prepping, about being prepared. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, you're all gloom and doom or it's fear porn or whatever. Folks, this is a reality. This is how our ancestors lived. It's how our grandparents lived. You know, it was called independence or self-sufficiency. And it's something that most people have lost touch with. How many people out there know how to can their own food today or process it in any way, shape, or form? Probably very few. It's a dying art, but yet it is another important chapter in self-sufficiency. And so what I'm going to go over today, I had in my previous video showed everybody one of these food packages I got. This was from the Patriot Pantry. Okay, and there's about 92 servings of food in here. About 1,500 to 2,000 calories per day is what they've got it set up for per individual. It's 2 weeks worth of food. Okay, the cost of this box with shipping was just under $80. And having gotten into this box, you know, it's just your basic stuff. We've got maple oatmeal, you know, which is 8 servings per container. We've got 2 of those. We've got something they call Traveler Stew. No meat in it, lots of vegetables, and it does have protein in it. And then you've got things like home-style potato soup. There's a couple of those in here. And what else we got here? Buttermilk pancake mix. More homemade potato soup. What do we got here? Buttermilk pancake. Long grain white rice. Okay, and I was asked by an individual that saw my previous video if I could elaborate a little bit more and was it possible to build one of these on your own? And the answer to that is absolutely yes. And so I'm going to go over some of that with you guys today. And now remember this, you know, you can stock up as much food as you'd like. It may be cheap and it may be abundant, but will you eat it? You have to think about what it is that you actually eat throughout the course of a day before a shit hits the fan scenario. Because I assure you, I don't care how hungry you are, at some point, if it's food you do not typically like or do not typically eat, your body will reject it. You will go into a food depression. That has a lot to do with morale. Food has an enormous amount to do with morale. And when you're in the middle of a shit hits the fan scenario, something catastrophic, whether it be man-made or natural, it's real easy to get anxious, depressed. I believe a lot of people will lose their minds during a shit hits the fan scenario if it's extensive and lengthy. And so I'm going to go over a few things with you. Like I said, this was about $80 for this container. And I wanted to buy one just to see what it consisted of. So I'm going to go over some things with you right now. And again, you can adjust this however you feel. You know, when you walk into a grocery store, you really have to change the mentality as you shop. Take something like this, for instance. We have these Knorr, K-N-O-R-R packages. They're 10 for $10. Okay, they come in pastas as well. They're $1 a piece. And I believe there are what they refer to as 2.5 servings per container. At $1 a piece, at 2.5 servings per container, so right there is $2. And you're feeding 5 people right there for $2. And its nutritional facts are on here. I mean, this isn't exactly health food, folks, but let me tell you something. You can embellish on this. So these are the things that I look for. Something like this. They're lightweight. If you needed to backpack them, you could, although I pray that that's never the case, that we're stuffing these in bug-out bags or inch bags. I'm never coming home. So this is what I do, folks. And again, you adjust this however you feel, whatever suits your palate. But there's multiple choices on embellishing packages like this. You can buy in these containers, which are $1 a piece, you can buy albacore. These things sit on the shelf for years. They're vacuum sealed. You can get star-kissed tuna of all different sizes, shapes, and colors, flavors. You can even get small little Spam containers. Kind of hard to adjust for that camera. But anyway, these are some of the options. These are the things you look for. They're lightweight, they're inexpensive, they do have nutrition. Like I said, you got to look at salt content. If some of you people have high blood pressure or whatever, you want to make sure you keep track of how much salt is in this food. And so let's move on. And when we're talking about things of that nature, these are some of the things that I look at. Minute rice, because in a grid down situation or in a shit hits the fan situation, something like minute rice, okay, it cooks up fast, easy, it cooks in 5 minutes. And if the grid's down, energy spent is exhaustible. It's not like we have an endless supply. Electricity may be down, the gas lines may be down. It's hard to say. I'm just guessing. And look, folks, I look at it like this: prepare for everything and worry about nothing. But you take something like this. You can also purchase things of this nature. And the brown rice, this is a little bit smaller container, a little bit more expensive, but the shelf life is the same. This stuff will last for years. Okay, and let's see, the servings in this thing, I think for this box was 17 servings in this box. And the box cost probably, I think this was around $4, $4.50 for this box. This one was probably about the same, even though it's smaller. But again, you need to mix it up. You're not going to eat beans. I see people that buy these 50-pound bags of beans and 50-pound bags of rice. Trust me when I say, your body at some point after 2 weeks of eating the same gruel day after day, your body's going to start rejecting that food. It has to be palatable. And as I was saying, you get in here, you've got 8 servings of oatmeal. Okay, oatmeal has a shelf life of infinity. Vacuum seal this stuff, package it correctly, and I'll show you some of that. But this is another option. And again, we're getting into that the reality that food brings us peace of mind, especially when we're in stressful situations. So you've got these, you've got a lot of options in these. You can buy just the natural raw oatmeal, which I do. I buy whole grains, I grind my own flour, but again, that's getting into a whole new chapter. So you have that and some other things to think about. Milk only has a shelf life of so long, and so I buy things like this. I let it sit on my shelf, and when it gets anywhere near the expiration date, I'll get my vacuum sealer out. I will cut the label off this so I know exactly how to mix it. I'll put the label inside the bag, and I will vacuum seal that with this contents in here and an oxygen eater, and I'll show you those in a few minutes. Okay, and that extends the shelf life of this to years. Okay, the other thing that came in this container, I was a little disappointed with it for the money, to tell you the truth, but that's all right, that's how you learn. But right here, Bisquick. God only knows how many pancakes this container will make. Yeah, it says right here, serving size about 1/3 cup of the mix, and that makes several pancakes. And then it says servings per container about 28. So you're getting 28 servings out of this inexpensive box of Bisquick that will feed you. You can make biscuits out of this, you can make pancakes, you can bread things with this. Like I said, when you're in a grid down, you have to be a little bit creative with the menu. And so, dollar for dollar, what I could have got, I probably could have got triple that amount of food individually, going out and just buying these things. And whether you leave it in the container and store it that way, or whether you vacuum seal it out of its package. But always remember, if you take this out of the package and you vacuum seal it, cut the directions for this off the side of it and insert that into the bag with the oxygen eater, and then vacuum seal it, because I guarantee you're not going to remember. Now also remember, there's 2 types of these. There's some that you just add water to, and then there's some you need an egg and some oil. Always look for the brand and the type that requires just water, because like I said, resources are going to be tight when you get into a grid down situation or a shit hits the fan. Okay, so think about that stuff. Now, I was talking about embellishing on some of the plain food, like the white rice, the brown rice. Now, these are some of the options that I've come across. This stuff has a 10-year shelf life, and if they say 10, it's probably 15. I've opened these things up after 5, and they taste like truthfully, and if you take this stuff and fry it, it tastes exactly like bacon. I was really, really impressed with the flavor of this product, and trust me, I've ate all these. My son and I, Isaac, will once a week or so will cook what we call a bug out meal to experiment with these foods and try and see what tastes good, what doesn't taste good, and I strongly recommend that you do the same. And so you have options like this. This thing's just a couple of dollars a can, and again, it's got a shelf life of about 10 years. Other options, you can get roast beef, fully cooked in gravy, okay? This mixed in with rice, we've done it. It tastes delicious. It makes an excellent meal. It's got the gravy already in it. Cook the rice and mix this in with it, and I'm telling you, there's nobody going to walk away hungry. It's a good rib sticking meal. You can also get chicken breast, okay, Clover Valley, pulled pork, barbecue sauce. Kind of hard to tell which way to turn everything's the opposite on this camera. So anyway, you can get these. These are all Clover Valley. Very inexpensive, you guys. I mean, you'd be amazed how much food you can put away. Another thing, and it's a little bit pricier, but again, it's got a shelf life of infinity. And that's Spam. I know a lot of people go, oh, Spam, my God, I can't stomach this stuff. I love Spam. I have Spam and egg and cheese sandwiches all the time. I love the stuff. But again, to embellish some of these things, you buy bulk of the plain things like your rice. You can get your powdered potatoes. I vacuum seal a lot of that. The powdered milks, the Bisquick products, pancake mixes. But the other thing you can do to make things taste better is you can buy containers like this. And this just gives you your different gravy mixes. Okay, bouillons are really good. They're inexpensive. They have a shelf life of infinity. Just the little bouillon cubes, the little square cubes. You can buy these in all different flavors. And then you have spices of this type. They're a little bit more expensive. But to have some of these, you guys, it's not that you have to exhaust everything in the first 5 meals, but you know, every 3rd or 4th meal to mix some of this stuff in will make all the difference in the world when everybody's already stressed, already exhausted because of a shit hits the fan situation. These are some of the things, and what I was telling you about the whole grains and stuff that I get and I grind up in a little wheat mill. I just put them in a jar like this, put an oxygen eater in it, which you can see just a little bit of it right there. I put one of those in there. It keeps the oxygen and moisture out of these, and I seal the lid. Nothing fancy. Just a regular quart jar with a regular lid, and seal that up. Inexpensive. You can buy 50-pound bags of that stuff. Fairly inexpensive. Another good thing to have. These are infinity foods. These foods will last forever. Honeys, maple syrups. Okay, this stuff is essential, and it's nutritional. Okay, it's not just food. This is, like I said, this is great nutrition for stuff like this. But when I buy this stuff, I try and buy the natural stuff. We've got natural buckwheat honey. This stuff is fantastic for you. And you can rotate this stuff out. There's so much more to this, folks, but like I said, you know, food packets, little things like this, don't go buy 50 of them all at once and break the bank. Just buy a couple each time you go and throw them into a container. And I'm going to show you some of that too, how I store some of this. And don't forget ramen noodles. Now, I've never ate a ramen noodle a day in my life, ever. I've never even tasted the things. Everybody tells me they taste great. Personally, I've never ate one. But you know what? You've got 12 packs in here. I think these things are about $2 a box. So you've got 12 meals right there. Throw a little bit of Spam or something in with that. $2 for 12 meals. Now, is it health food? Absolutely not. But nobody's going to be walking around hungry. You could tuck away an awful lot of these for a $20 bill, and you're well on your way to having a good start to food storage. And as you move along, these are the other things I grab. And again, some of this stuff gets a little expensive, you guys. I'm just giving you ideas. So you pick and choose however you want to do it. You know how you eat. You know what your palate will tolerate. But I pick up things. When I buy this stuff, I buy the original. I don't buy the generic or chemical-based. Real vanilla would go a long way in a shit hits the fan situation. Almond extract, same thing. Anything that adds flavor that you can grab is a good idea. Coffee. I know most of you people out there drink coffee. You know, again, this coffee comes in little tea bags. Here, I'll open this one up. You can see it. It's Folgers. Coffee singles. And they're just little tea bags. You rip it open, put it in your cup, let it sit there for a few minutes. It takes nothing to heat water, and if you're getting, you know, and in a grid down situation, that's something else I'll do a video on. But the purification of water is essential. 2/3 of the people that died during the Civil War died from disease, drinking tainted water, dead bodies everywhere, eating rancid meat. That's an unfathomable amount of people. Other things to consider: apple cider vinegar. I keep this stuff around. White vinegar and apple cider vinegar. Again, this stuff is inexpensive, folks. It's got medicinal uses. It's got food preserving qualities to it. So this is what you got to kind of get your mind in. It just comes natural for me now because I've done it for a while. But these are the types of things you look for. I buy this stuff by the gallons and keep it around. It's essential. You can clean with white vinegar. It kills 99.9% of all germs and bacteria on contact. And there's no chemical after effects for allergies or anything else. So these are the things I think about. Now for storage, I was talking to you guys about storage. These are what you call Mylar bags. Okay? You can get big ones. They're Ziploc. They have great seals on them, and you can fit a ton of food in one of these. So what I do is I take one of these, I shove it down into a 5-gallon bucket, press it out so you're consuming all the space in that round container, and you can get square containers too. And I fill this with food, throw a couple of oxygen eaters in there, which is here. You can buy all this stuff right on Amazon. You can get different size oxygen eaters. You throw one of these in, and it takes all the oxygen out of the inside of that container. So when you push all the air out, this will consume the rest. So that's one size. This is another size. Okay, you can get them in any size you want. They get smaller than this, and they get bigger than that. So dollar for dollar, your money is best spent by going in and picking up packages of things like this. Kraft macaroni and cheese in a box. I don't even know how many of those I have. Enough. Canned goods. I do a lot of canning, you guys. I garden, I can. Again, this, you know, there's two types of people that prepare for what could be a grid down situation or any emergency situation. We could have a blizzard. The electricity could go down for a week. There's 100 different scenarios that could take place that could change our lives in an instant. And having things like this ready to go alleviates all the worry. And I'll tell you, if you've got health insurance, if you've got car insurance, house insurance, this is nothing different. And if you ask me, this is just as much, or if not more so, important. Watching somebody go hungry that looks to you for sustenance and protection is a terrible place to be. And God forbid any of you out there would wind up in that situation. So that's the long and the short of it, you guys. I'd like to elaborate more. Like I said, 5-gallon buckets, Mylar bags, oxygen eaters, and then look for things like this. Look for these canned meats. You know, look for canned fruits, dried fruits. And if you have a dehydrator, drying fruit is so easy. I experimented with that this summer. I dried tomatoes, I dried peppers, I dried peaches. You could dry apples, bananas, you name it. And this stuff has a shelf life, once it's dehydrated, of infinity. It'll keep forever. And that's the other thing I look at is forever foods. You know, mountain climbers and people that really go all out and exert themselves, believe it or not, one of the foods that they take along with them, especially mountain climbers, is they make up a bunch of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Peanut butter is loaded with proteins. It's got fats, oils, and the jelly has the sugar. But just having peanut butter around, peanut butter will keep for infinity. It's just like honey or maple syrup. There's some foods that have no shelf life because there's no limit on it. Rice is the same way. White rice. Brown rice will go rancid on you because it does contain more oil. So the more you look, all this information's out there on Google, and there's hundreds of videos out there, folks, talking about how to go about preparing. Okay, this is just a small glimpse. Again, we can get into canning at some time. I can a lot of foods. I can everything, as a matter of fact. I can hamburger. You can can bacon. You can can butter. I have powdered butter, powdered cheese. I mean, there's 1,000 options out there, folks. If you're serious about this, look around. Google survival foods. When you're in your grocery store, start looking around for things that have long shelf lives. Foods that are acidic, like things with tomato paste, anything with tomatoes, fruits. If you're buying it in cans, it's very acidic, and its shelf life is a lot shorter than those that are not. Green beans will last forever in a can. Stewed tomatoes, on the other hand, will not. One's very acidic and the other isn't. So that's just a small glimpse, folks. Like I said, when you do this, think about how it is you eat, because I don't care how much food you stock up, like I said in the beginning. If you don't eat it now, you're not going to eat it then. And you may for a little while, but trust me, you're going to become exhausted with food that you despise. So think about what you can do simply, inexpensive, and embellish it with things like these canned meats, with sugars, with honeys, seasoning packets, bouillon cubes, extracts, all sorts of things. The options are limitless. Fill as many 5-gallon buckets as you can. Fill one 5-gallon, set that as your goal. Get a 5-gallon bucket and some Mylar bags. Open the bag up and just start filling that. You'd be surprised how fast you could have 20, 25, 35-gallon plastic cans full of food. So that's my tip for you guys. That's the meat on the bones for prepping. Godspeed to all of you. God bless every one of you. And I'll be back with some more videos. Maybe next time we can get a little bit more into the survival tactics, the bug out bags and things like that. Everybody should have a bug out bag, folks. Everybody. Every member of your family should have a bug out bag with everything in it that could allow you to live. There's 72-hour bags, there's get home bags, there's bug out bags, and then there's I'm never coming home again bags. So there's a lot to cover there. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you would, you can go over to Ezekiel's Army, www.ezekielsarmy.com, and sign up for the weekly newsletters, and guaranteed to be informative always and truthful, something this society seemingly and desperately lacks today. So anyway, thanks a lot for watching, you guys. Again, give it a thumbs up. God bless all of you. We'll see you next time.